Hotty toddy, Ole Miss fans, and welcome to the Brad and Chad Show on the OM Network. Brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA. This is the show by and for Ole Miss fans, where you'll get expert insight and analysis on Ole Miss athletics. And now, here are your hosts, former Rebels Chad Flowers and retired NFL star Bradley Sowell.
Podcast time.
Brad and Chad Show midweek, bye-week version of the show. We've got a real big one coming up for you. We're going to have Coach Kermit Davis on, men's basketball coach, coming to us. We got some big news on the Plains at Auburn that Bradley and I are going to get into, and then we are going to make sure that everybody gets our SEC picks that nobody wants. Bradley, how are you today, man?
Good, man. Good. Excited about the show today. Got Coach Davis in here, and then you're right. Let's talk some scenarios on the Plains. I know Ole Miss fans are excited to hear that news today. I'm sure this is going to get a little interesting. So, excited. We got basketball coming up. I know they got a scrimmage expedition coming up the next day or so, and it should be good stuff. I'm excited about the new season, man.
Yeah, for sure. And why don't we just cut to the chase and get right to the guy on our Nest and Wild hotline. We've got Coach Kermit Davis, men's basketball coach. Coach, season openers on November 7th against Alcorn State. How have the guys looked in practice so far this preseason?
Yeah, everybody's itching to start playing right now around college basketball. You've already seen some exhibitions kind of tip off. We're the healthiest probably we've ever been, knock on wood. We've got everybody together for really the first time the last 3 or 4 days. Javius McInnes, who had played really good for us from Jackson State, had a little mild back, some injury, but he's back. I think he'll practice. Hopefully he'll play some tomorrow night. But Deshaun Ruffin is back. Josh Mabala's back. So healthy, and that's what everybody's looking for. Because it's like football, guys. That August is no fun. It's hard. It's meant to be hard. It's the same way in basketball and, that October month. And so everybody's kind of healing from nicks and bruises, but really like coming to the gym with our team.
Speaking of Moody, Coach, how's Moody looked coming off his injury? Has he been back full go, or how's that transition been for him getting back?
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun is really he's done well. He's been hurt. He broke his hand first of the year last year, ACL in our win against LSU last year. So. He's back. I don't say he's 100%. He's getting closer. His knee is really good, though. Got a little hampered by a growing injury. He didn't scrimmage against Clemson. But yeah, I know he's excited about playing tomorrow night. First time he's been on the floor since February.
Coach, with this team, very similar to what Lane has done on the football squad, you've really utilized the transfer portal. You got 2 guys from the state of Louisiana. I think one guy played at Lafayette, another guy at New Orleans, pulled in a guy from Buffalo, as well as Jackson State, which you mentioned a moment ago. Talk about how the transfer portal has really changed the game, both for the good and the bad with college basketball.
Yeah, I think that the rich will keep getting richer, and you've seen that in football in the same way. We played Kentucky last year in their senior game. I looked out there, just thought, they're starting 4 transfers at Kentucky, maybe the bluest of bloods in college basketball. So everybody's going to utilize it. I still think you have to get good high school players. We've done that. We have 4 really good high school players, but then we added 4 grad transfers. And so, it's amazing the difference in ages now, guys. So we bring in 18-year-olds, and then we brought in 4 guys who've already gotten their college degree and are older. And so it's a different blend. But you like Lane's team. You see a couple freshmen playing big roles in transfers. And so now the key is to kind of mix them all together and blend the different ages, the different backgrounds in a short period of time.
Do you feel like that that age dynamic is good for the team? Obviously you get some maturity in there, helping lead these young guys. Or how do you prefer it? I know a lot of teams, they play a bunch of freshmen in basketball, all throughout the year. But do you feel like it helps having those older guys to be leaders and help these younger guys?
Yeah, it does. What I found out is that we've got 4 great guys, the grad transfers, but you have to remember they've only been in our program for 4 or 5 months. Right. So their voices, they got maturity, but their voices haven't really taken over our gym like I was hoping, and so integrating those guys in a short period of time with their voice and leadership, not only their talent, but the camaraderie of a 23-year-old guy and an 18-year-old kid who's coming in for the first time. And to a college campus. So there is kind of a fine line and a mixture of it. But yeah, the maturity helps, and you guys are going to see with transfer portal, NIL, college basketball is just going to continue to get older and older.
One of the rule changes that are coming in this year is flopping can now be a technical foul. Now, your teams at Ole Miss have been very defensive focused so far. Is that a rule that you've had to coach around, or what are your thoughts generally on that rule in place?
Yeah, flopping is, the head bob when they're faking the deal, shooting maybe a 3-point shot, kicking your leg out, falling down. Maybe on the post, guarding it, a guy kind of nudges you, you flop to the ground. So it's a judgment call, but now there's no warnings. It's a class B, which is no personal foul, but just a one-shot penalty, and the ball is spotted where it was out. So our first 4 years of teams were good defensively. Last year we weren't, and that was disappointing. Did we fight through a few injuries? Yes, but we didn't guard like we needed to guard. Our physicality wasn't like what it was. We didn't rebound like we needed to. And that was some things like you guys alluded to with the transfer portal of trying to get bigger, stronger, defensive-minded guys.
I can already hear you yelling at Teddy Valentine after a technical and a flop now.
Teddy's one of a kind now. He's great.
I won't ask you to go too much detail there. I do have to congratulate you. I meant to mention this at the top. Congratulations on being a granddad. How's that going so far?
Oh, gosh, Chad. You always, all my buddies throughout the years to say, Kermit, it's nothing like being a grandfather. And you say, okay. But then when you have him, it really is. It's something, he's 9 weeks. His name is Davis. The great thing about us, he lives in Tupelo. And so that's perfect. We had our first 2 kids, and we're living all across the country in Idaho without FaceTime. I asked my mom and dad, I said, how'd y'all ever do it? Y'all would go months and months without seeing, your grandkids. And so, at least now, we're FaceTiming or doing something every single day.
Kermit, is this one going to grow up to be an Ole Miss or a State fan?
Oh, this is Ole Miss. I mean, it's so funny. Well, I'd say it. His dad played golf at State, so it's going to be one of those parting deals. So, but yeah, Fletcher's turned into a huge Ole Miss guy. They all love Oxford. My daughter loves it. It's funny, Bradley, when we went there yesterday on our off day just for the afternoon. Well, I guess Saturday, I'm sorry. And she already had like 4 of his Ole Miss outfits he's going to wear to game. So, yeah, they're definitely Rebels for sure.
I love it.
Now, you mentioned Mississippi State. Obviously, your dad coached there. You went there. You played there. What's it like coaching against Mississippi State, right? Because you have fond memories of Starkville, going to school there, coaching there. I think you even interviewed for a job there once. What's it like coaching against, your alma mater?
I think a lot of probably coaches end up doing it throughout their career at times, I've always said it. Nobody wants to beat Mississippi State more than Kermit Davis. I promise you that. And but I do think this. I think in all sports, you see it in baseball, basketball, and football. When those 2 schools are both good, it helps everybody. It does. And so it's a great rivalry. I never forget Clark Kellogg, our first one that we went to Mississippi State and won my first year. Clark Kellogg did the games. The first time he's done it. Now, he's been involved in Ohio State, Michigan games. And I said, Clark, I'm just going to tell you now, you've never seen a heated rivalry like this. And after that game, it was sold out, great game, win to win. And he goes, Kermit, you're right. That was like one of the most intense basketball games I've ever watched. And I said, I'm telling you, it's like that in every single sport. I don't know, maybe the LSU soccer, that may have been more heated. That may be more heated now than the Mississippi State women's soccer game. That was a first for me to see that. So maybe LSU soccer may be worse.
Man, yeah, shit. They were getting tough out there on that soccer field the other day. I saw that as well.
Oh, I know.
Coach, when this is kind of a random question, but I had an interesting thought. Obviously, a head coach at a major college program is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. But if I were to go to your house right now and look at your DVR, what's going to be on there? What do you like to watch on TV in your downtime?
Well, I have trouble sleeping, so it's Netflix late.
Okay.
I've watched a few series. One that I can get up about 2:00 in the morning, do some work, and it'll get me back to sleep for about a couple hours. Is a Brad Pitt show, River Run Through It. It's kind of one of those. I love that. What I watched the other night, I watched Ocean's 11.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I've watched some, different things. I watch Netflix series, but you got to pay too much attention to these series late at night.
That's true.
It's kind of these shows that I've watched that can maybe kind of get me back to sleep for a couple hours before I get up early and go to work.
I hear you're also a bourbon man. What's your bourbon of choice? Is it Pappy Van Winkle? What do you like?
That's I only drink that when I'm with Nick Weaver. Okay, he's a high dollar guy. Okay, that's the only time I do is that with Nick. And that's kind of Woodford Reserve is a good kind of my go-to. I'm a pretty simple guy, but that's my best. And kind of when the weather gets a little bit colder, man, the old Woodford tastes a little bit better.
I love it. It's all, you don't know which one's more expensive, the jeans or the whiskey with him. I mean, good night.
He rolls high dollars, you guys know.
I love it.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna. I know you got practice here in just a few minutes, but we've got you got an exhibition coming up, West Georgia. Then you got your opener against Alcorn State. Good luck this season, man. We're rooting for you. Hope you have a good season, and we'll talk to you down the road. Okay, Coach.
Well, good. Hopefully, we see a lot of people out here. We've got tomorrow night, Tuesday. Then obviously open up with Alcorn, then a big game with FAU the Friday before the Alabama game. We'd love to sell that one out. So, great homestand to start the year. Appreciate you having me on, man. Look forward to being back with you during the season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you, man.
See you.
That's Kermit Davis on the Nest and Wild hotline. Brad and Chad Show brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. A reminder, Blue Delta Jeans, handmade in the U.S. to fit you and only you. You can visit them at BlueDeltaJeans.com to find your fit using their easy-to-use virtual tailor. Yeah, I'm getting fired up for basketball season. The weather's getting a little cooler.
I tell you what, man. Listen, Kermit Davis is cool, man. I know, Ole Miss fans all over him, for the last couple of years trying to get this basketball program turned around. But if you know Kermit – and you're in Oxford, there ain't a soul that doesn't love that dude. He is fun to hang with. I'm rooting for him, man. It seems like this year they got some good freshmen in. They got some good mix of talent. Man, it'd be nice to see us put something together this year.
He's bringing talent in, right? Yeah. It's just staying healthy. They've had a lot of injury issues, especially with Ruffin last year. He's the program's first, McDonald's All-American, and tears his ACL. He had another injury. Yep. So hopefully he can get it turned around because, like you said, there's nobody that loves his job, loves Ole Miss more than Kermit Davis.
He's a Mississippi guy to the core, man. He's cool. He's fun to hang with too. He's a good dude. He's a guy that I hope he has some success, man. I've seen a lot of people like this over the years. You're just rooting for him. You hope they have success at Ole Miss. He'd be great for the program. He's great for Oxford. He's just a great dude, man. He's got tons of good stories. You can sit there and listen to Kermit for hours, tell his old stories. He's got him in football too. Hell, he ended up knowing a bunch of the coaches that that have coached me over the years. I mean, he's just a good dude. I like Kermit.
Yeah, that was a good interview. So let's talk a little football, right? It's a bye week, but that doesn't mean that the news stops, especially for football. Just some accolades real quick. It's kind of getting repetitive, but, surprisingly, Quinshon Judkins, SEC Freshman of the Week, right? That's a real big surprise after a 200-yard plus rushing effort against A&M. That's his fourth award so far from a weekly perspective.
At what point do we say Judkins for Heisman? I mean, when can we start that campaign? Back growing up, we had the Deuce for Heisman bumper stickers.
Yes.
Do we need to print some B stickers? Let's go. I'll put one on the car.
Nobody knows. Nobody in here in California is going to know what that means, but I'll put one on my car as well. He's been one of the best players in the conference, right? He may be Offensive Player of the Year if you don't count Tennessee. But he's been fantastic. And also Nick Broker, co-offensive lineman of the week. That's his second honor. So 9 total weekly SEC honors for the Rebels, just showing you how well they're performing, and it's showing with the accolades they're receiving.
Man, let me tell you, man, Nick Broker, people don't realize that what he did needs to be highlighted more, right? Like he did the complete opposite with all these kids are doing. These kids are, hey, okay, I want to leave. I want to go to the NFL. And it's just super easy just to go to the NFL, right? Like I can leave as a junior, go undrafted. No, it don't work like that, man. Like, the kid sat down, evaluated a situation. Could he have went to the NFL last year? Yes. And he probably would have got drafted. He had a much better case than anybody on that team to go to the NFL, except maybe Corral, right? Mm-hmm. He's played left tackle, and everything looked like from the outside, hey, he's been a starter since freshman year at left tackle. Certainly can do it. Has been playing whatever. But he looks at a situation and he gets the correct advice. And instead of going in the 5th round, I'm going to come back. I'm going to move to guard, show him that I can play. And now he's looking like a first or second day guy. And he's leading the O-line to rushing stats that have never been achieved before. And you look on the film, he's dominating. I mean, he's playing guard and dominating. That to me should be highlighted more to show these kids that like coming out is for the elite. Okay. Mm-hmm. You should use college as much as you can to better yourself. And man, I'm freaking proud of him. I talked to him quite a bit. I definitely, he's an Illinois guy, so we kind of connected through the Bears thing as well. Just an unbelievable kid. I mean, it means something to him, and he's done well.
It's cool to see, someone that invested in themselves and it paid off. Right.
Yep.
That it's a risk, right? He could have gotten injured this year
Yep.
and hurt his draft status. So that was really cool. I saw where he graded out at 94%. What does that mean when you say that a lineman has graded out a certain percent? What is going into that type of information?
Yeah, the only information I would actually believe is if Kiffin or Thornton said it.
Okay.
Other than that, PFF, it's a joke. I'm gonna be honest with you. PFF, there's no way of grading kids because you don't know what the play entails, and you also aren't playing the same player. So if I were at a different school and I was going against bad players, I could grade perfect and be one of the top rated players. But unless it's hard to grade because you're not playing against the same guys, right?
That's right.
So it's tough. It's a tough assessment to do. But if you look on the film, he's playing very, very well, man. I mean, he is definitely opening up some holes. He's finishing guys, and I think, and if you look at the way our line's playing, it's kind of rubbing off on our line. Like what he's kind of, you got two freshman tackles in there, but when they see one of your older guys playing like that, you're hoping that gets ingrained in them, and that's what they take with them. That was a big thing coming into the NFL with myself, as they always said, hey, look at some of the really successful guys and try to steal a trait from each of them and put it all together and try to create your own player. And I think that trait is kind of rubbing off on our O-line. And then you have more guys finishing. I mean, heck, every guy you see, throughout our line, man, you see guys finishing guys downfield, and that's something that's a hard thing to teach guys. It's playing to the whistle, finishing guys. Our O-line has that right now in the run game, and we are absolutely. We are dominating guys up front, and he's a big part of it. He's definitely grading out well, and you could tell he's anchoring that middle.
Yeah, they're one of the best rushing offenses in the country, so they play a huge role in that. Running backs can't do it by themselves. That's not the only football news that is going on today. So.
Oh yeah.
Big news on the Plains in Auburn. So if you're listening to this, this is probably Wednesday. We're recording this on Halloween. Brian Harsin has gotten his walking papers. He is no longer the coach at Auburn, and you already looking at Twitter the moment that it happened. The first name that people are bringing up are Lane Kiffin, right?
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin to Auburn, right? And so I personally still can't see it, but I just don't think that the programs. Does Auburn have more resources than Ole Miss? Probably, in terms of boosters and money, but it's dysfunctional, right? Just in the last few years, you've had Gene Chizik, who won a national championship in 2010. He was gone, 2 seasons later. You had Gus Malzahn, who went to the national championship and lost. He's gone. Brian Harsin didn't last 2 full seasons in Auburn. You've had an AD who's been fired. They just hired John Cohen from Mississippi State, which is wild to me anyway, because John Cohen coached and played at Mississippi State. I cannot see a more dysfunctional job in the SEC than the Auburn football coach, and I can't imagine. Lane has Ole Miss. He is Ole Miss, so I can't see it. Yeah, they can probably pay him a little bit more, but in terms of stability, I think Ole Miss is the better job.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I don't see it either, but it's just amazing every time a job comes up and Lane Kiffin's name comes up, right?
This is not the same program that Tommy Tuberville was coaching.
Yeah,
right?
I know. And so you look at Auburn, they have resources.
Yep.
They have everything you can imagine, but what comes with that is you should probably call Dan Mullen and ask him how things can go when you leave, when grass is greener on the other side, right? There's a lot more red tape at those schools. There's a lot more. Yep. Obviously, there's some decision making going on that I would be questioning who's in charge with some of the stuff that's been going on. So do you want to get in bed with that? I don't know. If you're Lane Kiffin, so you look at it from a. I don't think that's the job. There may be another one out there at some time that's the job for him. I just don't see. I don't see that being the one for Lane. It's just that. There's just too much that goes. I mean, Lane could go there and have one bad season and boom, he's gone. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Oxford, man, I feel like, what he's done here, you walking away from this roster, it just wouldn't make sense to me. I mean, we have a roster. I mean, first off, if he were to leave, I feel like there would be somebody dying to come in here as long as this roster is intact. But you have a roster that is overachieving big time because they're so young, and you have a chance to do something crazy in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to build to get to that point. I just don't see why he wants to go into a dumpster fire at Auburn. I mean, maybe with the portal now, it's maybe more attractive. Maybe you say, hey, I can just go out and portal it up and do the same thing I've done at Ole Miss with a lot more money, a lot more resources. I don't know. I just don't see it, man. I think he's got a great core in place here. The money's not going to be much different unless they do something crazy, unless they get really desperate and really dig deep. But the money's not going to be much better than Ole Miss.
As a former recruit, do you factor in if a coach has jumped around to multiple jobs? Is that something that you would factor in? Especially now with NIL now, it may just be the money. But would you factor that into something? Because if I'm leaving a program every 2 years to take another job that's even better, would that be something you factored into as a recruit?
Well, I'm sure, but it's a tough sell for him, right? When you're sitting in someone's living room looking at their mom in the eyes or dad in the eyes, and you're telling them, hey, you know, I'm going to be there to take your son to the NFL. And they look and say, well, shit, you haven't been anywhere 4 years.
Right.
You haven't been anywhere hardly 3 years to take my son anywhere. So it gets to the point to where the recruits and stuff would probably be looking at you like, hey, you know, probably not the case. But, you know, as a recruiter, there's so much stuff that goes into recruits, you know, mindset or situation. It could be family, it could be anything that goes into that. So, but yeah, that just gets tougher sell for him. But all in all, man, I just don't, you know, there's so much stuff going on right now. I mean, you even got the crowd that, okay, now he's going to take Quinshon Judkins with him, right? Like, Quinshon's Alabama kid.
Please,
I mean, my phone is absurd. I wish I can go through and read these text messages. I mean, people are jumping. I mean, freaking out. I mean, my dad being one of the worst, right? Like hey, he's an old 1980s Ole Miss doomsdayer, right? Literally, as soon as the news comes out, man, hey, we're going to lose Kiffin, and guess what? He's going to take Judkins with him too. I mean, just
here we go. This is what's going to happen.
Just the old, you know, I just don't see it. I mean, maybe there's something else that goes into it, but the only other job I would ever be worried about with Lane is I think that, you know, he's got everything going to Ole Miss. I think Alabama at some point is
Alabama or pro. I think he could go back to the NFL at some point.
That's the one that I could say, okay, that would probably I don't know what makes sense, but I could see them making a run or somebody like that. Auburn's not it right now, man.
No,
he may go there and win 6 and 7. Then maybe he does win 9 in his third year, and they hate him still because he hasn't competed, right? So he's just built up too much here. And with our whole Grove Collective thing that's up and going now, supposed to, you know, really change our game in NIL. I don't see it, man. You got to be careful. I'm just saying you got to be careful as a coach like that leaving. Leaving and going to a school where maybe a lot of red tape, and I just feel like here, man, he got the keys to the castle here. You know what I mean? He can kind of do his own thing, and it'd be a tough gig to leave.
There's no beach at Auburn either, so it's not like they have that much going. You know, I know he's a beach guy. There's no beach at Auburn. Stay here in Oxford. Who would you say is Deion Sanders is eventually going to get a shot at a major program,
and he should.
He should. What he's done at Jackson State is incredible. Game day was there last week, right?
Yeah.
Do you see him working in the SEC?
It potentially could happen. Here's the thing with Deion. Here would be my strategy on Deion if I'm an AD. Okay, Deion is what college football and NIL loves. I mean, like Deion, wherever he goes, he will recruit the lights. I mean, he will be terrifying. Okay, because if you can convince a number one player in the nation to come to Jackson State,
you're
come down to Jackson State, go to Jackson State, you will have no issue getting anybody to an Auburn or an LSU or wherever he ends up being. You know, if you're Deion and you're an AD, you sit down and you say, hey, Deion is the face of it. He recruits. He's the manager. Put some decent coordinators with him. I mean, obviously he knows ball, but don't put all that pressure on. Let him be the sales. Let him be the brand salesman. Mm-hmm. Put some good coaches behind him, and he will absolutely dominate wherever. I mean, he attracts the. I mean, look at JSU. They had some guys escorting him out of the tunnel. Like, man, at a bigger program, it could get crazy now. Like, and recruits are going to look like, oh, I may get to hang out with so and so. You know, okay, Terrell Owens is going to come to my practice. I get to guard him 1-on-1. That shit sells.
Absolutely.
So if whatever AD takes a chance on him, it may end up working out great. It'll be interesting, but I think at Auburn, maybe I don't know if he's the right guy for that job. If I'm Auburn, I'm calling Matt Rule. right? Like that's
100%.
it may be tough because he's still getting paid or whatever this year, but Matt Rule is perfect for that job. What he did at Baylor, he's kind of got he can kind of turn programs around. I feel like Matt Rule makes the most sense to me, and I know that Hugh Freeze may get thrown in there, but Hugh's got a gig up in Liberty.
He just signed an extension at Liberty.
Yeah, I mean, well, in Liberty's not like Ole Miss, but it's Hugh Freeze does well at Liberty. They're going to pay him $5 million a year now. Like he can stay there forever.
He goes to a bowl every year. He's set.
Just cruise, and he's doing well. That's going to come up at some point, I'm sure. Hugh's going to go somewhere at some point, but there's a lot of money behind Liberty as well, though, right? Like those guys are throwing around some money. So
yeah, the only thing about Matt Rule, I think you mentioned this before the show began. He's getting paid to not coach the Carolina Panthers right now, and if you're paying me $7+ million to not work, you best damn believe I'm not working. I'm gonna be doing anything but working at that point.
Yeah,
right.
Unless they come up with a crazy offer and he wants, and that's the job that he wants to get in on. That's a good SEC job. I mean, don't get it wrong. Auburn has a great stadium. It's a good SEC job. So it may be thinking if he's looking at the list of teams that are becoming available, getting an SEC job like that may be worth if they're going to pay him similar, it may be worth it just to get back in and do it. But that's who makes most sense to me. I just don't see Lane being the guy there. But this will be interesting. It'll be a lot. It'll be a lot of talk. There'll be a lot of crazy stuff to watch in this process over the next 5-6 weeks. So it'll get interesting.
Yeah, and and if you're thinking, with all this money talk, if you're looking for help with your money, you can always give a call to our friend Jeff Griffin with the Stevenson Griffin Group. Right, it's one of our sponsors here at the Brad and Chad Show, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. The Stevenson Griffin Group at Baird Private Wealth Management. You can go to the group's website, stevensongriffinGroup.bairdwealth.com, or just give them a call, 662-841-1900. That's Jeff Griffin with the Stevenson Griffin Group. Bradley, what's it like? What's it like? With a coach that gets fired mid-season, what does that do to a locker room, or what can it do to a locker room?
Man, it's rough. I'm not gonna lie, it's rough. I will tell you this. Depending on who they have as the assistant coming in, when it happens, what's today? Today is Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, today's Monday. Today's
Monday,
Halloween.
Tuesday.
We're recording on Halloween. Yeah.
One of the 2 days, whatever. I mean, you get a coach gets fired in a week, and I've actually had this happen where it was like on a Tuesday or the day before an actual practice. So, the game plan gets thrown off. It gets real awkward in the locker room. Everybody's kind of Debbie Downer. It's a terrible week of practice. But, yeah, it's not fun, man. Georgia Tech could help them this year.
Yeah, they played better.
They played better. Could happen with Auburn. Man, I've been a part of it, and it sucks. We didn't prepare with the crowd. We ended up losing to Louisiana Tech, which was awful that week. And the preparation just wasn't there. And you don't know, it was Auburn have 3 games left.
Yeah.
So
something like that.
The chances of them letting go of the rope are pretty, it's going to be pretty high. I expect State to blast them this week. Absolutely blast them. So it's not fun. It is not fun to be a part of that. And then you got guys now everybody wants to be cool. Hey, I'm a transfer here. I'm a transfer there. It's not ideal. It is not a good situation.
Yeah, so we'll talk about our SEC picks here in just a few minutes. So how's the drive back from Houston? How'd that go?
It was good. I'm still tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm saying because listen, I had damn fast food on me. I've been fasting all day trying to get this damn. I went on a jog this morning. I've been fasting. I'm trying to get all this damn eating fast food after a big win out of my system, like I'm still a player or something. It was fun though, man. Anytime you win, looking at videos, recapping the night. Now luckily we had my sister-in-law watch the kids, so now we're in a car full of kids.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's classic. Anybody out there that did it, that went to the game, had fun, and came right back to 4 kids, they understand exactly what I'm talking about on that car ride. So pretty much can hardly keep your eyes open. You almost got toothpicks, trying to keep your eyes open to get home. Get home with the kids. They slept perfect, so they're having a great day. So it was fun. It was a fun experience and fun win.
Nice. So once again, Ole Miss on the bye this week. We've got Alabama the following. It came out today that the game's going to be 2:30 CBS, beautiful. You can't ask for a perfect. I like night games personally because of the atmosphere, but 2:30 is a good spot, right? That's that the crowd should be rocking. They shouldn't be too hammered after being in the Grove in the morning. So 2:30 Alabama time. I couldn't ask for a better.
I may get to the Grove at 6:30 in the morning if I can that day. I mean, like I am going to be. There is zero chance I sleep before that game.
It's going to be nuts.
And they better damn beat LSU, right? Like, gosh, don't ruin it for us. Do not do us like that. So if they end up beating, or if LSU ends up beating them, you get a pissed off Alabama.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we beat them or not. We're still in second place in the West. Like, come on, Alabama, do it big. You can do this.
I have faith in Nick Saban. I have faith that he's going to get it done. Coming off of a loss to Tennessee, I think he's going to right the ship.
They've been so bad on the road, though. Like I'm a little nervous.
Actually, it's not off a loss. They beat State the last time out. So yeah. Who knows? We'll see what happens. They play in Baton Rouge against the Tigers at night, which is never easy to do. So that will be interesting to see. Before we get to our SEC picks, let's talk quickly about Nest and Wild Mattresses, another one of our great sponsors here on the Brad and Chad Show. Backed by a 99-night guarantee. Nest and Wild, one of the best mattresses you could buy to help your sleep. You know, Bradley's a client. He's also, one of the helpers with that company. They're a great product. Amazon.com, nestandwild.com is where you could find them. So make sure and check them out. And like Bradley, I mentioned, we got SEC picks. So we got a full slate other than Ole Miss not playing. Everybody else is going. Arkansas out of conference against Liberty. We're not going to talk about them, but let's talk about some of the games here. We've got Auburn. We've already mentioned the turmoil that's going on in the Plains. They're going to Starkville this weekend. Right now, State is laying 13.5 points against Auburn. Do you like the Bulldogs here?
I thought I'd never say it in my life, but State's going to blast them. I mean, State will do them like they did A&M, like they did Arkansas. You're coming off of getting fired, going down to rowdy Starkville. I think State blasts them. I hate it. I actually hope Auburn plays inspired and beats them, but I think State's going to take care of that.
If the number was over 14, I would take Auburn. I think that there's usually too much of an overreaction with the coach getting fired. But, yeah, it's hard to get to this number with me, so I think I'm going to agree with you and take State on this. Kentucky. Oh, boy. They got destroyed in Knoxville on Saturday. They have to now go to Columbia to play a Missouri team that, they went on the road and beat South Carolina last week. So Missouri's catching 2 points at home. I'm going to take the Tigers in a stunning pick. I've been bad-mouthing Missouri the entire time. I'm going to take Missouri against Kentucky. I think Kentucky is going to struggle.
I think Tennessee's just that good. I think Tennessee was good early on in the year. Didn't really know, but now they're clicking on all cylinders. Kind of like Ole Miss got it at one point last year. We were just tough to beat. We know how good we're going to be. But, good thing for Kentucky. They're going to the worst team in the SEC to play this week. And I think they'll beat them. I can't stand Missouri. So Missouri's just that shitty.
The Missouri hatred runs so deep in you.
Yeah, we need to get them kicked out of the SEC. But
Texas A&M, they're back at home this week. They are laying 3 points to a Florida team. Both teams coming off losses. Florida got demolished by Georgia. A&M -3 against Florida. Who do we like?
I like it. I like Wigman to have a big day. I think they kind of found their quarterback there. I think A&M play some inspired football. I think that they're close. I mean, look at all A&M scores. They've lost so many games by less than a score. Yep. Which I mean, it's still no excuse. They have $80 million salary cap team with another coach making 100. So there's really no excuse. But yeah, they have. They're going to take care of business this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think A&M is on the right path now that Weigman is behind center. So I'm going to go with A&M -3 against Florida. South Carolina -7 coming off of a loss to Missouri. They are on the road in Nashville taking on Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt, 7-point underdog at home. I'm going to take Vanderbilt here. I think South Carolina, their offensive and defensive lines are pretty poor. Vanderbilt's going to play a conference game close, and I think this is going to be the one that it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in South Carolina. I'm gonna go against you on this one. I think South Carolina. Just remembering what Ole Miss did in the air to Vandy. I think South Carolina can light it up in the air against them. I think South Carolina takes care of this one, especially with their backs up against the wall. They lost a game. They were doing well. Then they lost. They kind of had a hiccup, but they're going to be motivated. I think they'll go up there and get it.
Now, we got two big games. We already talked about Alabama and LSU. We'll knock this one out first. So Alabama, like we mentioned, they're in Baton Rouge this weekend. I was a little surprised by this line. Right now, it is 13 points. So LSU at home at night is a 13-point underdog to Alabama. I think Alabama is going to get back to form, and they're going to dominate LSU. I don't know why I feel that way, but I just have a sneaking suspicion that Saban's going to have them ready, and Alabama's going to show what they have, and they're going to win by 2 scores or more against LSU.
Yeah, I'm mixed seeing that line because I feel like is the LSU team in the first half of the Ole Miss game going to show up where Ole Miss is destroying them? Because Alabama's not. If they get down 17-3 to Alabama, they're not coming back.
Nope.
It's over.
Yep.
So, but something tells me, man, LSU's got a false sense of hope. They're going to play a lot better than they probably should in this game. Probably be a 10-point game. I see Alabama by 10. I'm taking LSU there.
Yeah, we really hope Rebels really hope rooting for Alabama in this one, which is weird to say. We want to make sure that game next week is for something, even though both teams still have games after that. The big one, which I'm really excited to watch, the 2:30 CBS game. Tennessee's going on the road at Georgia, defending national champions. I was stunned by this line. I didn't think it'd be any more than 7.
I don't know if it's a setup or what, but yeah, I'm
Yeah, Georgia's 8.5-point favorite. This is a 1-2 matchup in the polls. Georgia's 8.5 against Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee. I think Tennessee is the best team in the country. Yes, their pass defense is a little suspect in the secondary, but that offense reminds me of LSU back in 2019. I don't know if they can be stopped. Now, we'll know because Georgia's probably the best defense in the country, but I think Tennessee's going to win outright and easily cover the 8.5 points.
Yeah, Tennessee is. I mean, they're all-time high. I mean, they're skating on cloud 9 to beat them. Georgia's going to play really, really well. Georgia, I don't feel like it's been tested like Tennessee. What I keep going back to is Tennessee played a tough game versus Alabama. They're pretty battle tested. Georgia has really just been skating along. They beat Oregon, which that doesn't mean crap. And they played a few close games. Man, I think they know Tennessee's coming. I think this is a game where you see Georgia play kind of tight. I like Tennessee. If Tennessee were to lose, it's going to be a field goal or a touchdown or less. So I'm taking Tennessee here.
Perfect. All right. So those are our picks. Make sure you spend all of your money fading us. That way you do not lose money. And we'll have a recap when we do our next show, which will be midweek for the Alabama game. Once again, no Sunday show this week with Ole Miss not playing a game. We're going to take our Sunday off. So get a little extra sleep in. But we'll be back midweek, the Alabama week, to talk the game, obviously, and to just kind of see what's going on in the conference after this weekend. Bradley,
if Lane were to randomly take a job at Auburn midweek, we'll jump back on and we'll break down what we think there. Maybe something crazy happens. We'll get back on later in the week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if Lane Kiffin takes the Auburn job, you will hear it. You will hear from us through our tiers on whatever show, whenever we decide to record that, for sure. I want to make sure and give a big thank you to Coach Kermit Davis. Good luck this season. They got their season opener November 7th against Alcorn State. Really looking forward to him getting things turned around after a few tough seasons with injuries and what have you. So really looking forward to seeing what he's going to be able to put on the court this year.
Yep, going to be cool, man. I'm excited about him, man. Love me some Kermit. I'm rooting for him big time. Hopefully they can get it together and have it get back to the tournament and by all means get back to where or get Ole Miss basketball going. They got a great facility, got a great pavilion there. Man, it'd be nice to have a little run in basketball. That's the only sport that still been lagging a little bit. But I'm excited. I think they got enough guys to do it, man. I think they could do it this year.
I think so, too. We'll be following them throughout the year on the show. We'll have more interviews with Coach, I'm sure. But in the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe wherever you find the Brad and Chad Show, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, what have you. Like and subscribe. Help us get those numbers up so we can keep bringing you great content. Thank you so much for listening. Bradley, hotty toddy, man. Have a good rest of your week.
See you, Chad. Hotty toddy.
Thanks for listening to the Brad and Chad Show. Follow the boys on social media for more content. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been an OM Network production, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA.